Hi everyone, it is Elena J. Engel, and today I am back with part 4 in the 10-part series I'm doing, which is my countdown of my personal top 100 favorite boy and girl names. And today I'm going to be talking about names 70 through 61. I also have made a playlist that includes these videos, including the previous 3 videos I made, so you might go ahead and watch those first if you haven't seen them. And I want to apologize again for the poor quality of this video. I haven't been able to find my camera charger, so I'm having to use the camera on my laptop. At 70, I have the names Justus and Samara. Justus is a Latin name meaning just or justice. I have mentioned this name a few different times in a few videos because I have loved this name for several years. This is a name that I love because it's biblical. There's a great biblical association. I do have a very close friend that recently named her son Justus, spelled Justice, so I don't think I would ever use this. Not to mention I love tons of J boy names, and I have several that are higher on my list than this, but I absolutely adore this name so much. This is in the top 1,000 boy names a few years in the early 1900s, and then it just re-entered in 1994 and is now ranked at 866. Samara is a Hebrew name that means protected by God. Wonderful, wonderful meaning. This is a name I've talked about in a few videos because it's a name I've loved for a long time, but it is going down each year more and more on my list. I think the reason I'm not loving it quite as much is because my husband absolutely hates this name. He hates it because it is the name of the evil little girl from the movie The Ring. That movie is one of my favorite movies, and I love the actors who played her, DeVay Chase, and so I actually really like the name because of that movie. But I had the combo Georgiana Samara and Georgie Samara when I was in high school in my top girl combos, which I think is so funny. But anyway, I do love this name, but because again my husband doesn't like it, I don't think I would ever use it. This first entered the top 1,000 girl names in 1997 and is now ranked at 634. At 69, I have the names Marius and Jemima. Ooh, those would make good siblings. Marius is an ancient Roman name that means male, and of course this is a name I adore because of Les Mis. I like the book Les Mis, and I'm absolutely crazy about the musical Les Mis. It is my favorite musical, and I listen to it literally almost every single day. And I have several other names in my top 100 boy names that end in S, like Justice, and so I probably wouldn't use it because of that. I do have several that I like more than Marius, and then I can never convince my husband again to like this name. I usually say that with most names. My husband just doesn't like names, especially names that I love. Jemima is an English name that means dove. So lovely. This is a biblical name. It is one of the daughters of Job, and Jemima and her 2 sisters were supposed to be the most beautiful women in all the land, so I absolutely love that. I had the combo Harriet Jemima in my top girl combos a year or 2 ago briefly. I could never really quite sell my husband on it, so I kind of gave up on it. But I think this name is so lovely, and it's actually never been in the top 1,000 girl names in the US before, so it's definitely underused. At number 67, I have the names Uriah and Augusta. Uriah is an English form of a Hebrew name that means light of God, beautiful meaning. This is a biblical name. It is the name of a really strong, heroic Old Testament figure. And this is a name I'm never quite sure if I like with my last name. And my husband used to really like this name, but he doesn't like it at all anymore, so I don't think we'd ever end up using it. This was a top 1,000 boy name from 1974 through 1997, re-entered in 2008, and is now ranked at 578. So I love that it is being used a little bit in the US. Augusta is a feminine form of August, of course, which means venerable. I included this in my video series I made earlier this year of less popular alternatives to the top 100 girl names as an alternative to Audrey. This is a name that is very literary. I love several associations in different books with Augusta. I love that Aggie could be a nickname for Augusta. I love several names that Aggie could be a nickname for, but this is the only one I've ever been able to get my husband to like just a little bit. But I do have the name August for boys in my top boy combos, so we would almost certainly never use Augusta on a girl. This was a top 1,000 girl name through 1944 and has not been since. This is also the name of one of the state capitals in the US as well. At 67, I have the names Rudyard and Hadassah. Rudyard is an English name that means red yard. This is a name that I mentioned in a video I made earlier this year of 10 names that I love but wouldn't ever use. Actually, both of these names were Rudyard and Hadassah. And the reason I wouldn't use Rudyard is because my husband doesn't like it. But I absolutely fell in love with this name after watching the movie The Book Thief. There is a little boy named Rudy in it, and he is the cutest little boy in the world. And of course, Rudy could be a nickname for Rudyard. I absolutely love that. Hadassah was the original name of Queen Esther in the Old Testament, and she's an absolutely wonderful biblical figure. This is a name that 2 of my close friends really love, so unfortunately I don't think I'd ever use it. I do currently love several H names for girls as well, so I think that I probably won't ever use Hadassah, but I still think it is absolutely wonderful. At number 66, I have the names Jerome and Winifred. Jerome is an English name that comes from the Greek name meaning sacred name. I absolutely love that. I included Jerome as a Jeremiah alternative in the series I did of less popular alternatives to the top 100 boy names. This is a name that I love for the historical association. Jerome is the name of the man who translated the Bible into Latin, the Latin Vulgate. And I currently have the combination Arlington Jerome in my top boy combos, and I could absolutely name my next son that in a heartbeat. I think it is so wonderful. This has always been a top 1,000 boy name in the US. It was actually a top 100 name in the 30s and 40s and is now ranked at 838. Winifred is an English name that comes from a Welsh name meaning blessed peace. Amazing meaning. I have mentioned in my last videos that I have a grandma whose name is Fred. That's her nickname, but she always goes by it. And so Winifred could easily honor her if I were to use that. But because of that, I don't think I would ever use Winifred because I have another name that I like more that we do plan on using after my grandma. This is a name that is very literary to me. I definitely think of the character Winifred from Tuck Everlasting, and it's very old-fashioned and just so darling. This left the top 1,000 girl names in 1965 in the US and has not been in the top 1,000 since then. At 65, I have the names Peter and Beatrice. Those would also make good brother and sister names. I love that. Peter is an English name that means rock, and it is of course strongly associated with the New Testament biblical figure Simon Peter. This is a name I'm not quite sure I like with my last name, and the same friend I have that named her son Justus does have a son named Peter, so I don't think I would ever use it. But this is again a very literary name. It's a Narnia name. I associate it with Peter Pan, and I've just always really loved it. My husband likes it as well. This has always been in the top 1,000 boy names, was in the top 100 through 1996, and is now ranked at 206. Beatrice is the English form of Beatrix, which means traveler, really sweet meaning. This is definitely a really old-fashioned name as well, and it's one that I love seeing on little babies. I just think it's so precious. I definitely associate it with the series of Unfortunate Events books. I can't even tell you about the character because if you mention the character, it kind of gives away the whole series. But I included Beatrice as an Alice alternative in my series that I did earlier this year, and I have loved this name since I was a little girl, but again, I can't get my husband to like it, unfortunately. This was always a top 1,000 girl name, except for a couple of years in the 90s, and is now ranked at 565 and rising. It was actually a top 100 girl name through 1934. At number 64, I have the names Ronan and Tirzah. Ronan is an Irish name that means little seal. So adorable. I probably really love this name because it's the last name of my favorite actress, Saoirse Ronan, but I also just absolutely adore the sound. I just think it has this super adorable Irish jaunty feel, and I always get really excited when I see little kids named Ronan. This is definitely a namer's name, and when I say that, I mean that I see it on a lot of name lovers lists, but I do see it more online than I do in real life. This entered the top 1,000 boy names in 2001 and is now ranked at 335. Tirzah is a Hebrew name that means my delight. Absolutely wonderful meaning. This is a biblical name. It is the name of a biblical city and the name of a daughter mentioned in the Old Testament. That same friend that I keep mentioning that has the sons Justus and Peter actually has a daughter named Tirzah as well. So once again, the same friend, she just has amazing taste in names. The reason why I wouldn't use Tirzah is because that friend has already used Tirzah, but that's okay because I love when people that I love use amazing names, and yeah, I just think it's so beautiful and underrated. At 63, I have the names Jameson and Lilac. Jameson is an English name that means son of James. This is a name we currently have as a middle name in our top combos. The combo right now is August Jameson, and Jameson is after my husband, whose middle name is James. I did include this as a James alternative in my series that I keep mentioning. Jameson entered the top 1,000 boy names in 1969 and is now ranked at 144 and rising in popularity. I think this name is so adorable. Lilac is an English name that refers to the color and the flower and the scent, and it possibly comes from the Persian word that means bluish. This is a name I again included in my alternative videos as an alternative to Violet, and I do have a daughter whose middle name is Violet, and because of that we wouldn't ever use Lilac, but I think this name is absolutely gorgeous. At number 62, I have the names Hamish and Sylvie. Hamish is the Scottish form of James, and again, like I keep mentioning, I included Hamish as an alternative to the name James in those videos I made, and I could easily use Jameson or Hamish to honor my husband, but my husband likes Jameson and doesn't like Hamish at all, unfortunately. I think this name is super adorable, and my friend Amelia really likes this name as well, so I'm hoping she'll use it someday. Sylvie is a feminine form of Sylvester, which means forest. I included both Sylvia and Sylvie as less popular alternatives to the names Sophia and Sophie, which are quite popular in the US right now. I actually go back and forth whether I like Sylvia or Sylvie better. I think both of them are absolutely gorgeous names. If we were to ever use this, we would probably use Sylvia with the nickname Sylvie because Sylvia works better with my last name. Currently, we don't have it in my top girl names because I have a lot of S names I'm really loving right now, but I just think this name is so beautiful and classy, and I absolutely love seeing it used. Believe it or not, Sylvie has never been in the top 1,000 girl names in the US on its own, but Sylvia has always been in the top 1,000 girl names and is now ranked at 44. And at 61, I have the names Marko and Imogen. Marko is an Eastern European form of the name Mark, which means man. This is a name I started liking in high school. There was a kid named Mark, like M-A-R-K, and they called him Marko sometimes, and so he's who I picture, and he was just a really funny, nice guy. And this is also the name of the husband of the gorgeous model Adriana Lima. And unfortunately, once again, like I keep mentioning, I can never get my husband to like this name, but I think it is super adorable and underrated. Imogen is an Irish name that means girl. This is a Shakespearean name. It is a name that fellow name lover Megan, who is Tulip by Every Name on YouTube, really loves. It is very, very Britishy, but so underused in the US. It's actually never been ranked in the top 1,000 girl names in the US. I think this name is super cute. I go back and forth whether it works with my last name or not, but once again, it doesn't really matter because my husband doesn't like it. But if I could ever get my husband to like it, I really think I could use the name Imogen. I think it's super adorable. That is it for this video. Please let me know in the comments below what your favorite of these names were, and thank you very much for watching. Bye!